prayer's always been a part of my life. Even like when I feel like I wasn't really walking the way that I should, like I've never given up on praying. Like I don't even know how that would, like how people can do that. I was done having kids. I knew that like I always just was never a kid person. So once I had a boy and a girl, I was done, and that was that. They got to the ages of, I think my daughter was 16, my son was like 12, and I've just kind of like thought my life was perfect because we didn't have to get babysitters for day and night. We didn't have to do all that type of thing. And then just completely out of the blue, I started feeling like, I think I want another kid. And I'm like, oh, that was scary to me because I was like, I never wanted another kid. So I kind of just kept pushing that feeling off for a while. Then it got really strong, and I was praying about it, and I said, Lord, if this is like a feeling from you, then let Buddy say like these certain words. And so within like a matter of, I think it was less than a week, he had said those certain words, and I was like, oh, no, that wasn't God. I still like, it became real, like, okay, this must be from God. So then I was like, no, that's not, I'm too old to have a baby, you know. My cousin was expecting twins. Her family wanted to have her abort them because she wasn't capable of taking care of the little girl that she had. And she just was not going to have that. She was not going to do it. And so she ended up having her kids. I live in Florida from January to April. So I was in Florida when she gave birth. And I remember like some family sending me pictures of the babies, and I was just like, oh, you know, they're cute, whatever, and not thinking any more about it. Then I had found out like a few weeks went by, and that she could not take care of them properly at all. So some of our other family stepped in and had taken all three of her kids, and they like separated them just to make sure that they were being fed and just being taken care of properly. And I remember telling my dad this as we were in Florida, and he looked at me and he was like, so what are you going to do about this? And I was like, I'm not doing nothing about this. This isn't my problem. And my dad, to this day, like the way he said that to me and looked at me when he said it, it was like, it shocked me, because my dad's always the type to be like, don't get in anybody's business. You know, it's not your problem. Pray about it and let God deal with it. And for him to ask me that was just very, very strange. And he does not remember asking me that at all. Like, he does not remember. But it stuck with me. I'm like, I always thought, why would my dad ask me that? So when I came back from Florida, I had seen the other two kids, like the little girl, and she was with one family, and then the little boy was with some family, that because Buddy has a twin brother. My son has a twin. So I had seen them, and of course your heart breaks for them because you're like, they don't even know what's going on, this poor family. And I hadn't seen Buddy yet for several days, or maybe even a couple of weeks. I think it was a couple of weeks. I had seen Buddy after I had seen those two kids. And as soon as I laid eyes on him, I fell in love with him. Like, I picked him up. I don't pick up kids because I'm just not a kid person. I couldn't put him down. Anytime somebody would just come and like take him from me, I would automatically go back and get him. Because we were at a birthday party, so like he was being passed around, and I have never believed in love at first sight until I seen this child, and I was like, this is just so strange. So I left the birthday party, and I called my mom, and I'm telling her everything and how I felt, and she was like, she was saying what I thought my dad would have said, you know, you probably don't want to get involved in this situation, because like CPS was involved. It was kind of a messy situation. She's like, you know, we'll just keep these kids in prayer. I just couldn't get this little boy off my mind for like a solid week. And I did. I prayed and I prayed and I prayed. I felt like I lived in my prayer closet over this. And within a week, it was actually 7 days, I get a phone call from the mother's aunt. And she was like, so the family that has Buddy, they can't keep taking care of him, so I think we're gonna just basically pass him back and forth amongst our family until we figure out what we're doing with the kids. And I was like, you can't do that. He can't be passed back and forth, like, I'll take him. And then I remember thinking, oh my gosh, I haven't talked to my husband. And I'm like, can I call you right back? So I call my husband and I tell him, and he's like, we'll take him, just call her back. So I called her back and I asked if it was okay if we took him. She said yes. So that was 7 days later. That afternoon I talked to her. That evening he was dropped off at her door, literally with like a bottle, maybe 2 diapers. Like he had nothing. And I got really nervous after that. Like after he was there, I was like, what am I gonna do with him? Like I what am I thinking? And so we took him to my parents, and my husband and myself went to Walmart and got like formula and diapers and stuff that he needs. We had him until August 4th. So that was the April to August. And then the parents wanted him back. And so of course we had to give him back. And we felt like it was like a death in the family. The day that his parents came and picked him up, my son Jet had a baseball tournament, and we couldn't get him to go. Like he just cried and cried and cried. And it took us a while. We did get him to go, but he even came off the field in the middle of the game crying. Like this was just like devastating to our family, losing this child. So that after that, like I stayed again in my prayer closet daily. I cried in there. I can't even explain the praying that I did. Whatever could come to my mind, I would go even to the Old Testament and see things that they did. They offered sacrifices, offerings. They did, made promises to God or vows. I went through whatever I could find. I started doing that, like just private things that I would talk to the Lord about. Like, if you do this, I will do this. If you do this, I'll do this. And I gave financial offerings and this. Like, I don't know if all this is technically biblical, but whatever popped up at me, I'm like, I'm doing it. I know that this child is supposed to be mine. But then I would go through these feelings of guilt. Like, why am I thinking that some other mother's child is supposed to be mine? Like, that's cruel. Like, am I a cruel person? Why do I have this desire for him, but not for the other two? Not that I didn't love his siblings, but I didn't have that connection or that bond. I get a phone call, I believe it was September 4th, so it was 1 month later. My cousin called me and she was like, hey, do you want to adopt Buddy? And I was like, what? And she said, yeah, do you want to adopt him? And she told me why she couldn't take care of him. And I was like, yeah, absolutely, I will. And I went, got my husband. We immediately drove to where they were. We picked him up and we took him home. My whole family, my other two kids and my husband, we would lay hands on him. We would quote scripture over him. We prayed over him every single day. We never missed a night. And there's nothing wrong with him, which is amazing because they have genetic problems too that really can't be explained. But I know that it was prayer. Like, there's nothing that anybody can tell me that, like, no, that was prayer. His looks changed. He doesn't have the same issues. That was pretty amazing to me. If someone is struggling to pray, I would want them to know that there's not a right or wrong way to pray, that you just go and you talk to, God as it's your father or your friend.